You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
It is Flat Tire Friday.
It is Flat Tire Friday. That is an appropriate name today. How did you come up with that?
Well, because you had a flat tire on the way in. One of our guests had a flat tire this morning. And looking at the calendar, it was about 2 years ago that I had a flat tire this week as well. So we'll call it Flat Tire Friday.
So don't ever drive to work on April, whatever date it is.
11th, 12th.
What day is it?
Today is April 12th.
April 12th. There you go.
Yeah.
I should look at a calendar before you turn the mics on.
We've moved from Flannel Friday to Flat Tire Friday.
I don't like this one. I like Flannel Friday better.
Way better. Good stories on deck today. What is life like at seminary? What is family life like? We've shared some round tables before.
It's been a while.
It has. So we get the inside scoop from seminary wives, what life is like at seminary, especially with those big days right around the corner. Vicarage placement, vicarage assignments, and call day. Now, nobody's anxious about that at all. No, can't feel any tension at all. So that's excitement coming up right around the corner. So we're going to talk with seminary wives this morning about life at the seminary. Thanks to Concordia University, Wisconsin for supporting the Coffee Hour. You can find out more about them at cuw.edu. cuw.edu. Live Uncommon. Joining us in studio this morning, we have Kelsey, fourth-year student, and returning. She came back to talk about seminary life again after experiencing that with us twice before already. So thanks so much for coming over today, Kelsey.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Good to be here.
And fourth year, so you guys are you planning? You're waiting for call day then, I gather.
19 days or something like that.
Something like
Who's
that.
counting?
We have Kara in studio with us this morning, second year family. Good morning, Kara.
Good morning.
And so second year, does that mean that vicarage assignment is right around the corner for you all?
It is. We are very excited to find out.
And Kyla in studio with us, fourth year, and returning guest as well. Kyla, good morning. Thanks for coming back.
Yeah, of course.
Apparently we didn't scare them away the first two times. So tell us a little bit about you and what makes you and your family unique. We'll start over here with Kelsey.
Well, what makes our family unique? Unique. We like to eat food. Maybe that doesn't make us unique. But we came from Michigan to the seminary. My husband had been in sales there. We have 3 children, expecting our 4th coming in July. So we've got a big summer, a move, call day, a baby, all the things. Why not?
No big deal.
Those are all like the top, 3 stressors?
It'll be
whatever
fine.
that scale is, might be through the roof. Yeah.
Minor details.
Yeah.
It's fine.
So we currently homeschool, and that's been going well this year. And let's see. I write part-time for Concordia Publishing House.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Me.
Very cool. Kara, what about you?
I am at home, and we have 2 little ones. Cohen is 5, and Kaylin will be 2 right after call day. My husband is Andy, and so we are from Nebraska. So this was a big change for us. My husband was born and raised in Nebraska, so this was his first big move. So we're excited for another move. The boxes are looming.
And then another move.
And then another.
And then another
And then
move.
one more.
It'll be fine.
It'll be great.
Kyla, what about you?
So my husband and I have 2 little ones under the age of 2. So that's a lot of fun, a lot of energy and early mornings. I work for the LCMS Youth Gathering office. We have the youth gathering this summer in Minneapolis. So we're super looking forward to that. Full summer on all fronts. And then I also get to write alongside Kelsey part-time for CPH, which is a fun opportunity. And I was thinking, what makes our family unique? And in the seminary world, we are not unique in this at all. But to everyone else, we move a lot. We've moved, almost every year of our marriage. We'll be married for 6 years this summer, and almost every year we've moved. And that's, I think, really different probably from most of my friends. I think that's super crazy that we live like that.
So you have it down to a science now with exceptional moving skills?
Unfortunately. Yeah.
It's like you guys could all teach a seminar for the rest of us. all of the tips on how to move efficiently, hopefully.
Just never unpack, right?
Oh, well, we still live out of boxes. We moved here 3 years ago. It's fine. All of you mentioned littles at home. What is that like? Having little people running around in this environment of having to be in transition all the time. What is it like having little kids around? Kelsey, you're nodding your head.
Yeah, I think weirdly our hardest transition with our children was leaving vicarage and coming back to the seminary. We had one child that remembered the seminary fondly and couldn't wait to get back. And we had another child that thought his friends only lived in New York, where we were in vicarage. So he got back to the seminary and felt ditched by his sister, right, who just went off and found her friends. And he didn't remember this place at all. And so that was an interesting transition to walk them through. And now anticipating the next move, too. Yeah. As they start to talk about it, they have their lists of, like, the states they'd like to move to, you know, and you're like, oh, that's interesting. Okay, Minnesota. Why Minnesota? You know, or whatever they might say. And they're still young, 6 and 4, but they're starting to understand this and to understand that it's a little odd that we have done this so much, which is funny. They do ask questions about that. Why do we move? My friend Ben doesn't move. And I'm like, that's true. That is true. Yeah.
How about, Kara, you mentioned having little kids. Is that right?
Yeah, Cohen is 5, and he's definitely feeling the transition and knows that, like, his friends, he had friends last year whose dads became a pastor, and we experienced Call Day with them for the first time. And so he knows what's coming, and he's excited. We get to do kindergarten in a new place, and he knows that there'll be friends wherever we are because Jesus is with us, but it's still hard in the day-to-day to say, I am going to have to tell these people goodbye. But he is really excited, and he doesn't know what to think to where we're going. He just wants a yard. So I'm like, I think we can maybe manage that or find a park. So,
oh, to be young again.
Right?
All I need is a yard.
Kyla?
You know, my kids are really small, so we came to the seminary without kids, and then we had our son partway through our second year. So we moved to vicarage when he was 8 months old, and then came back from vicarage and had our daughter just this past summer. So honestly, as far as kind of walking them through the transition, really it's a blessing they've been little enough. We haven't had to do anything terribly intentional in that way. It's probably just been more for my husband and I as we've had to transition and constantly kind of find new pediatricians and that kind of thing. That's really been the side of it for us that's been interesting to kind of walk through.
And the most adorable daughter who sleeps through anything. I got to hold her for a little while. I got to hold her one day when we were doing some studio work here for a National Youth Gathering. And yeah, she's just adorable. So what about, let's talk about the inevitable. Call day. Call day.
Sounds terrible.
It's not.
It's happening.
It's happening. So you've seen others go through Call Day and make that transition. What are the I don't know, what are the big questions? What are the fears? What are the excitement with Call Day or with vicarage placement? What are the questions, the fears that run through your head that you think only you have that then you discover everybody else actually has too?
Wow.
I know.
It was a really deep question that you don't want to share with anyone. Deepest dark fears.
Well, it's also funny. You range from thinking about things like, where am I going to grocery shop? Like, what's my new grocery store going to be like?
Yeah.
To the pediatrician thing and the doctor thing and all of that. And then to, of course, the questions of who are my friends going to be? Am I going to have friends? I think that's a big one, both for children, right? Reminding them there will be friends wherever we go, and there will be a life wherever we go, and we're going to find it, and that's going to be really exciting. And keeping in mind just the gift of getting to say we're going to a new place and we get to serve Jesus alongside this church, and what is that going to look like, and being excited about discovering that, I think.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned making friends. Comments from the peanut gallery. I think this keeps coming up over the last couple of weeks that it's hard for adults to make friends, especially in your unique situation as to-be pastors' wives. That can be scary and challenging in a very different way from the rest of us when we move around. That's just my commentary, though. What about Kyla?
I think just thinking about Call Day, it's the other piece of it that's just kind of an interesting layer is that it's really close to graduation, and Call Day and graduation are two really different days. And there's so much that we kind of have been looking forward to with Call Day, and then the next day our husbands just go back to class. Call Day is in the middle of the week so that pastors can be there. It just makes a lot of sense for a lot of reasons. But then we kind of just go back to our regular seminary life for a few weeks before we really are at a point of true physical transition. So I think for us, we've just been processing that a lot. We actually have most of our families going to come in for graduation when we're at a finish point where we can kind of celebrate the call and the seminary journey. Call Day is just kind of an interesting day at the end of our time.
In the middle of the week.
In the middle of the week, we're going to find out some really significant information, and so much is going to feel like it's about to change, and yet so much isn't going to change all at the same time.
Yeah.
And the next day, your husband goes back to class, and then
I had not
and I go back to work,
and
everyone, it's just, so it's an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, I had not thought about that. Kara, what about you for vicarage placement? How is that going?
We just are very excited, and personally, we feel kind of like we're on pause right now with how we are processing things. Where does this lead us? And we're like, we honestly have no idea. You have one interview for when you are talking about vicarage, and so you have one time to sit down and talk with somebody, and then now you sit and wait. So, so we're very excited. Hints have been sort of given. We're not going to an international mission. We're like, okay, great, thanks for telling us.
Everybody narrows it down.
Narrows it down.
Only 50 states.
Okay, so
That narrows it down a little bit.
lot.
Well, we have more to learn from our friends seminary wives at Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. You're listening to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The mission field isn't just overseas anymore. It's right here in your own backyard. If English isn't the first language of your neighbor or friend, and you'd like to share the good news of Jesus Christ with them in their own language, contact the Lutheran Heritage Foundation at lhfmissions.org. LHF has translated and published the Small Catechism, children's Bible stories, hymnals, and devotions into 85 different languages and gives them free of charge to those who need them. lhfmissions.org.
Friday on Issues, Etc. On This Week in Pop Christianity, we'll have Chris Roseborough answer the question, does God need our permission to act on earth? We'll discuss Lutheran education under communism with Blythe Ann Barretto, and we'll play Issues, Etc. Soundbite of the Week.
Issues, Etc. live weekday afternoons from 3 to 5 on KFUO.
Concord Matters is a show seeking agreement in Christian confession. I'm Pastor Charles Henriksen, one of the hosts of Concord Matters, heard on worldwide KFUO each Tuesday at 2 p.m. Central and a repeat on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Central. We take an in-depth look at the Book of Concord with some fine Lutheran theologians. Concord Matters, live on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on worldwide KFUO, the messenger of good news.
During the season of Lent, Worldwide KFUO will be broadcasting live Lenten worship services from Peace Lutheran Church in St. Louis each Wednesday morning at 11 on AM 850 and KFUO.org. Observe the season of repentance, renewal, and forgiveness alongside KFUO and the members and pastors of Peace Lutheran Church. That's each Wednesday morning at 11 during Lent on Worldwide KFUO. We're the messengers of good news.
Welcome back to the Coffee Hour. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
Seminary Wives Roundtable today, talking about life at seminary, preparing for call day, vicarage assignments. We have our second-year students, our second-year family, and fourth-year families in studio talking about the upcoming days as well. And what's life like on seminary, for seminary families? I know, Kyla, earlier you mentioned that your family has moved like every year.
Just about, yeah.
Every year since you've been married, or just about every year. Give us one great tip for moving, something you've learned in all those moves. So what's your best moving tip?
I think for us, something that's just been really helpful is that we try to be really realistic about how much time it actually does take to pack up your family and your life and all your stuff. So we typically kind of just set really small goals of we're going to pack this closet and we're done, so that we're not having these like endless days where it just feels like you're packing forever and ever. The flip side of that is that it does sometimes feel like you've really drawn it out, but eventually it does all get packed.
So today's goal is that closet. Yeah,
I mean, that can be a goal.
Setting? Yeah.
Those closets.
And same for unpacking too, probably, huh?
Yeah, unpacking for us has always been probably a little more condensed, just because typically we have family help that comes in like right when we move, so we actually really push to just get it done while we have the help there. But usually with packing, we have a little more flexibility to just fit it into our schedule in measurable amounts of packing.
Mine would be the last box in, first box out has toilet paper, light bulbs, and paper plates.
Hey, that's what we did. We actually we went to Walmart and we bought a set of camp dishes that they were in a little bag themselves, and we just carried them around with us.
That's true. Put the camping gear in last, so it's first out.
And we used camping gear when we moved in to sleep on.
That's a good idea.
It was great. It worked really well.
And it feels like you're on vacation because you're camping. Or not.
In an apartment, it's fine.
It's perfectly fine. What have been the joys of seminary life? What have you found, to be the joys that you're going to miss, that you think you'll miss, or maybe you missed while you're on vicarage, or what's Kara going to miss when she goes on vicarage next year? So what have been the joys for you in seminary life?
Well, it's probably, I'm trying to think of like another situation. I suppose the military could be pretty similar, where people live in housing. They're all doing the exact same thing. And that's very unique, And so one of the joys definitely is the community. You really walk out your door and you see another wife walking downstairs to do her laundry as well, and you're waving and you're saying hello, and that's your friend, and you just bump into people all the time. And your kids do the same thing, right? It's so easy for my children to say, like, can I go find a friend? And I'm like, sure. Just come tell me which one you found and what you're doing, I guess. It's just like a very safe and unique place for children to have a childhood. It's kind of magical for them, which is a huge joy of seminary life.
Yeah. Kyla, what about you? You're in the same fourth year kind of place.
Yeah, I was thinking about like what were we missing on vicarage about the seminary community, and I think the main thing especially was just the kind of brotherhood that my husband has with his classmates is also just unique, because they're all kind of on the same like mission, really, in the way that serving Christ together just like knits relationships is just so special. So I know that like we were on vicarage really looking forward to just getting back to being with that community, especially of people that kind of support him in this calling. And so I think that's just a really special part of the seminary experience, is those relationships.
Yeah. And Kara, what have you found in these 2 years?
Definitely community, like-minded people who are wanting to spread the word of Christ to others. For my kids to just be able to have play dates because there's somebody who wants to play with them, and it's easily accessible, but yet we get along and have similar things in mind. I came to seminary and was thinking, oh, my kid will play with a kid, but maybe I won't get to know their mom. But like some of my deepest relationships are my kids' friends' moms, and just getting to know them as people and seeing their family and how they do things. Definitely community. My husband's very close with some of his classmates as well, and also looking at other classes, fourth year families. Last year we got very close to some of those, and again this year another fourth year families. So it will be hard to leave some of those relationships, but knowing that we're all doing it together is cool.
Yeah, and a lot of those friendships hopefully will stick around too, with the beauty of social media and video chat.
And text messages.
Right. Yeah, you'll be able to hang on to those and the good support systems still as you transition into another part. And speaking of that, what has been or who has been your support system? Those people or churches maybe that have really been with you in this whole journey that's so unique to seminary families. Who have been those people or those churches for you?
I think churches, so my husband and I are both DCEs, and the last church that my husband was a DCE at before coming to the seminary has been just incredibly supportive of us during this journey. So they're probably the first kind of church that comes to mind. But I think the seminary as a whole does a really good job of connecting seminary students to churches that want to support. So if you didn't have a church connection like prior to coming to the seminary connects you with churches that are just out there waiting to kind of support a pastor to be and his family.
Almost every church in our life has come out and supported us, which is fun to see. My home congregation from a small town in Nebraska is a big supporter, but my husband's hometown congregation is extremely supportive. And then the church that we were at before we came, it just loves on us. We get letters, we get random pieces of mail that just say, hey, we're thinking about you and praying for you. We have family and we have friends from all over, and people we wouldn't even expect, but they are loving on us in big and small ways.
I was going to talk about the power of receiving a letter. That really, it makes you, when you move a lot and you receive that first letter on vicarage, you think, this is home, like I'm getting mail. And so what a gift that is to seminarians to get letters from churches or individuals just saying, hey, good luck on vicarage. You're in our prayers. That has been a huge thing for our family.
Yeah, especially like the handful of people that have kept up with our address enough to continue to send us Christmas cards.
Yeah.
I love those Christmas cards because we are hard people to send a card to right now.
Yeah, it's true.
Think back to those days when you first set foot on campus and the questions, the fears, the excitement that you felt at that time, and now to the experience that you've had, whether it's 2 years or 4 years as seminary families. What advice do you have to those new families who will be coming to seminary this year? Or what advice do you have to the families like Kara who are preparing for vicarage? What advice could be simple as moving tips or other things? What advice do you have to share?
I guess I would say a lot can happen in a year. So one of the funny things at the seminary, right, is that right now for the first years, they're not moving, but they have to watch everybody else move and new people move back. So even though they're not moving and they might not be transitioning in that way, they have a huge transition ahead of them. And a lot can happen in a year. Your first year, you kind of think, should I really become friends with second years or fourth years? Like they're only going to move. And actually one of my dearest friends, our first year, was an international student from Australia. And how hard that was to think like, and then they're going to move back to Australia. But how much we learned and grew together in our year together was astounding. And so that can happen on vicarage. In a year, you can actually develop beautiful relationships that teach you more than you could ever imagine. And so to not be discouraged by that a year feels so short. What could happen in a year? What's the point? But there is a point. Yeah. What
about you, Kara?
I definitely think people coming to the seminary just need to get connected. The seminary, we have, for wives especially, we have classes once a month just to help ease into that transition and meet people and get to know them, but also to have some base, a foundation. The Families in Transition team also tries to do things similar just to help support the wives in this role. Has been huge in my journey, and that's where some of my deepest friends have come from, because we are in this together.
Absolutely. And Kyla?
Yeah, I think coming into the seminary, most of probably my biggest apprehension about it really was the woman, like the community of women at the seminary. There's a lot of different life stages of people, and just trying to figure out where was I going to fit into that, especially like we came to the seminary without kids, and it just kind of feeling like there were some barriers to maybe like naturally making some friendships. But yeah, the opportunities that are provided for families to get together. We have a small group ministry for women at the seminary. Just being willing to at least try it was probably what made the biggest difference. Like my small group this past year, these two are in it. Just, it's just a big blessing to be willing to just put yourself out there, even if it is just for a small group season. That's going to make a difference.
Absolutely. And we have, about a minute left?
45 seconds.
45 seconds. All right. What are you most looking forward to in this next transition of your lives, this next phase? What are you looking forward to?
Just being a part of the life of a community. I mean, here at the seminary, it's been great. Looking forward to doing that in our next place, too.
Having roots again.
Just the people we'll meet again, like coming back to that, thinking about the church, the people, getting to know them, digging in, having a community again.
Yeah.
You're ready for that next chapter, and just days, and only 19 days until call day. How many until vicarage assignment?
Same day.
It's the same day. Oh, that's right.
Just earlier in the day, so we get to know at 3 versus 7.
Well, thank you so much for being our guest today, Kelsey, Kara, Kyla. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Coffee Hour. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
That does it for Flat Tire Friday. I'm Andy Bates.
I'm Sarah Golseth.
The Coffee Hour with Andy and Sarah is a production of KFUO. To support the Coffee Hour and KFUO Radio, visit kfuo.org. You can also text KFUO to 41444 or send an email to gifts@kfuo.org. And you can call us at 800-844-0524. KFUO. Christ for you, anytime, anywhere.